I grew up in Oakland, California when it was the murder capital of the United States. By the time I was 18 years old, I was a junior high school dropout living in a racist, authoritarian police state. I'm talking about prison here. I was serving 67 years to life for murder. I learned a lot about white supremacy because in prison, America doesn't have to hide its racism because voters don't see what prison guards do to incarcerated people and their families. So I woke up every day with the clearest view of what white supremacy is and how it works. White Americans clutch their pearls when they're thinking about authoritarian governments like China shooting protesters and controlling media or purging populations through murder and displacement. But millions of black people are living that right here, right now, in the land of the free. Not all black people feel like that. Some have escaped police brutality. Many have escaped prison, and they've taken their opportunities and they've built their illusion of an American dream. Or worse, they've turned their back on their people so they can feel safer with the white people who hate us. None of us will be safe if Trump is elected the next president again, because he has a plan to turn the U.S. into a white supremacist authoritarian state. I know this because his people wrote a whole book about it called Project 2025. It's 900 pages, so no one has time to read that shit. But I read it, and I'm making 4 videos to talk about what it is. These videos are my prayer to black people. If you're black, you have reason to believe that democracy won't protect you. So maybe you don't care if Trump becomes the first dictator of the United States. A friend of mine told me, life for black people isn't going to be any worse under Trump than it already is every day. I can't believe that life for black people isn't going to be much, much worse under Trump because I have listened to too many prison wardens, watched too many racist politicians, screamed at too many cops while they were beating the shit out of me. I know white supremacy. And white supremacy doesn't drop its lies, it's never honest. You give an inch, it's just gonna stack more lies up on it to crush you. I'll give you an example. Trump is gonna criminalize transgender people in the interest of national security. You're not trans, I get it. But I'm not bringing this up to argue about whether trans people should be purged from society. I'm bringing this up because in order to purge trans people from society, Trump has to fundamentally change what our government can legally do. And if we live in a world where our government can lock trans people in concentration camps, then we also live in a world where our government can put all black people in the detention centers Trump has promised to build. Don't be fooled by the propaganda Trump is pushing about immigration and transgender people. That is just the story of the moment to divide and conquer. Trump is a white supremacist. And we know the first goal of white supremacy is the subjugation of black and brown people. The second goal is to kill black and brown people who refuse to be subjugated. Project 2025 will supercharge white supremacy and make our subjugation the #1 priority of America. My prayer to black people is that we stop it by stopping Trump's election. We all know that internet companies have our data and they use it to manipulate us. Did you know that in 2016, Trump bought the data of millions of black people, made profiles and ran tests and algorithms on it trying to answer just one question? How can we get black people to believe they don't want to vote? It worked. And there's a lot of science behind why it worked, but basically, he pimped us. He pimped us into believing that whether Trump is in office or a Democrat is in office, black people cannot get justice in this country, so fuck it. But we can get justice. I've been in the trenches for decades fighting white supremacy, and I see it. Trump sees it. The people who wrote Project 2025 see it. They're panicking. That's why they're trying to end democracy and replace it with a white supremacist dictatorship. They're spending billions of dollars to manipulate your news feed and your social media accounts because they don't want you to see it. I read this study once, and it found that white people would reject a pay raise if it meant black people were making more than them. And they would accept a pay cut as long as black people were making less than them. Racists are sick. They would hurt themselves just to see us hurt more. And that's where we're at. More and more black people are demanding justice, and America is reaching this tipping point where it's not going to be able to deny that justice for much longer. And racists would rather elect a dictator than see us have it. That's what this election cycle is about. That's what Project 2025 is about. And my prayer to black people is that we register to vote, hit those polls in November, and stop Project 2025. I've only voted 2 times in my life because I hate the Democratic Party for the way they betray black people every year. I only voted because it's something this country's denied me all my life. That was 4 years ago. I didn't look at electoral politics again because I didn't think it could help black people. Then I read Project 2025 and I had to change my mind. I've stopped the work that inspires me to focus only on stopping Trump, because if we don't stop him, it's game over for black people in this country. I know you're tired of Democrats telling us that we have to vote for them because they're slightly better than Republicans. They've held our votes ransom for decades and they don't give a shit. But a couple token positions for black people willing to act like white liberals, you have no reason to listen to Democrats. I want to believe you have reasons to listen to me. I do not support the Democratic Party. And if we survive this election, I would dedicate my life to breaking this 2-party system that holds us hostage to do bad choices. I'm not happy about voting for a former prosecutor, but I do not see another strategy that buys us the time we need to actually change this country. And I promise you there are enough people working together who can change this country for you, your children, your sisters, and your mothers. Despite what you see on the news, despite the ways that police brutality is increasing in your neighborhood, we are winning. The authors of Project 2025 literally wrote it down that they're making this plan exactly because we're winning. But we need more time. And only you can give us that time. I'm asking you to give us that by voting for Kamala Harris. I'm asking you to give me that time, because even though I've never met you, I love you because you are black. And our love for each other is the strongest thing we've got. Don't let nobody tell you different.